Utilities worldwide are driving a clean energy revolution, moving boldly toward net zero goals on a rapid timeline. You are fundamentally changing how we power our planet by cutting emissions at greater speed and scale, establishing renewables as paramount in the energy mix, and helping millions of energy customers realize their own power to create change and protect the planet. We are proud to provide AI-powered data insights as a roadmap to accelerate the climate race. Because together, we can leverage data-driven customer intelligence to guide smarter energy decisions, harness business intelligence to yield maximum efficiency, electrification, and renewable energy returns, and use grid intelligence to build the smart infrastructure we need to move us closer to a resilient and carbon-neutral world. We applaud the energy leaders who are demonstrating the power of intelligence to create a better tomorrow. Our future depends on it, and the world is counting on us. Together, we can remain future ready.
Hey, welcome to day 3 of the conference. We hope you're ready to think about how we can collectively drive EVs, electrification, and energy ecosystem forward. So buckle up and get ready to hear from these industry leaders.
Welcome back to day 3 of Bidgley Engage. I'm Phil Flaherty, VP of Sales at Bidgley, and today we're focusing on one of the hottest topics in the industry, electric vehicles. So before we kick off, I want to remind you of a few housekeeping items, including the Q&A box on the right side of the screen. Throughout the event, please include your questions in here, and our moderators will pass them to our speakers. If your question doesn't get answered, don't worry, we'll be sure to follow up. And I also want to highlight the chat function. Here you can share ideas, feedback, questions for the audience, anything you'd like. Many of our speakers are also in the audience, so it's a great way to keep the conversation rolling. Between sessions, we'll also encourage you to participate in a few polls. We'll share the results following Engage so you can see how your answers compare to the rest of the community. Please be active in your participation. This event is about driving the conversation forward, and we're depending on you to do so. We'll be sending a token of our appreciation to our more active audience members. Lastly, at the conclusion of each session, be sure to hit Watch Next to move forward to the next segment of the program. But let's get after it. I'm excited to introduce you to our first speakers of the day. 50 years ago, Con Edison began moving away from coal-fired generation and towards cleaner fuels. Today, they have become the second largest solar producer in North America, are installing one of the largest bulk storage sites in the state of New York, have unveiled the largest charging superhub in North America, and much, much more that the Con Ed team will share. SVP of Customer Energy Solutions, Lenny Singh, Director of EV Demonstration Projects, Sudhakara, VP of Energy Efficiency, Vicki, and Chief Enterprise Architect, Allisyn share an inside look at the future-ready programs that are making it possible for Con Edison to achieve their aggressive goals to triple energy efficiency by 2030 and supply 100% clean energy by 2040.
Thanks, Lenny, for joining us. To start off, I'd like to ask how Con Edison is preparing to meet New York's aggressive climate goals.
First of all, thanks for the opportunity of having me, and my pleasure to be here today. So Con Edison is a company that's approaching 200 years old. And I think we've innovated over those 200 years in the spirit of Thomas Edison. And I'll go specifically, in the last 50 years, roughly in the 1970s, Con Edison moved away from coal-fired generation. And over the decades to follow, we continued to evolve to cleaner fuels, which produced a really clean environment for New York State and New York City over those decades. So I think for us today, it's really natural for us to be able to make that transition to a clean energy future. And I think our teams are working very hard to create solutions to be able to transition into that space. And more specifically, some of the things we're working on is, for example, energy efficiency. Our goal is to triple our energy efficiency targets by 2030. We're all in on EVs to be able to encourage people to adopt and make it easy for them to charge over time, facilitating the infrastructure needed to do that. And probably the third leg of that stool is heating electrification. Heating today is probably the largest carbon footprint in New York City, and helping our customers to move to heating electrification over time will allow us to continue to reduce emissions in New York State and New York City. Yeah. A couple of other thoughts. I think one very important goal for us is to be able to supply to our customers 100% clean energy by 2040. And beyond our service territory, Con Edison continues to put our money where our mouth is. We're investing in solar. We are the second largest solar producer in North America and the seventh largest in the world.
Can you share a bit about how Con Edison is preparing for climate change?
Interesting question. I think we are tackling it from a perspective of science. Over the years, we've partnered with Columbia University to really study the impact of climate change in our system. How does it apply to our design, our construction, our procedures? And based on the results of that study, we were able to revamp our designs, our specifications and standards to be able to adapt for the projections based on the studies that Columbia University performed. I think it was well worth the effort. As a matter of fact, New York Times cited it as a cutting-edge opportunity, and others should follow in that model. I think traditionally what we would do is we look back at the impacts of weather and make adjustments. I think the study allowed us to deliver on a gold standard for the industry that's looking forward at potentially what's coming down the pipe and how to prepare for that, whether it's in our design criteria or procedures, how we operate the system. I think it's how to think about it differently from traditionally what we've done as a utility.
What's Con Edison doing to promote electrification?
So as I mentioned before, building emissions from heating is probably the largest contributor to emissions in the state and the city of New York. We want to be able to help our customers transition to cleaner forms of heating through electrification, and more specifically geothermal loops, geothermal pumps. The technology has evolved immensely over the last few years. Being able to use our expertise and our knowledge to educate customers, to take them out of their comfort zone with traditional heating methods, and to be able to transition them to that more modern form of heating, less polluting form of heating, I think is our role in doing so for the city and the state.
Are your customers ready for geothermal heating and cooling?
I think part of our job is to get them ready. Buildings are the largest source of emissions in our service territory. Being able to educate our customers on the emerging technologies, to get them comfortable with that new technology, to move away from the fossil type heating is part of what we do. And what we continue to do to get them to move in that direction. Offering incentives is another way to do that, and we continue to do that. So I think, for example, last year we installed 86 geothermal plants in customers' premises. Doesn't sound like a lot, but I think it's momentum for us to kind of show that we're moving the needle in the right direction, and eventually we continue to ramp up those kinds of programs and get more and more customers on board. Another thing we're looking at is we are an anchor partner with EPRI and GTI around low carbon resources. What's available to be able to reduce the carbon impact of heating and cooling in the long run. Things such as green hydrogen. Green hydrogen is a cleaner energy source compared to other molecules. Produced from renewables, it's carbon neutral at the end of the day. We are a large solar provider in the nation. However, in New York State, we currently are not authorized to own and operate renewables. I think we'd like to leverage our strengths in that area, as we've seen second in the nation, seventh in the world, and be able to do that in the state of New York to be able to contribute more to the cleaner and greener New York State.
How much of the clean energy future do you think will be powered by solar?
So listen, I'm very excited about solar. I think our customers are very excited about solar too. And as I mentioned before, we are the second largest in the nation, seventh largest in the world, and solar will continue to grow for us. I think since we've been installing solar, our customers have been installing solar in New York. In our service territory, we have had roughly 35,000 installations totaling some 300 plus megawatts. I think that will continue to grow. We'll continue to make that easy for our customers, continue to make that affordable for our customers, make the process much more seamless and easier for our customers over time.
Great. Could you share a little bit about what it's like for a customer to interconnect solar on their homes?
We have actually a solar ombudsman who interacts and be able to work with our customers on a one-on-one basis just to make that process much easier. We have maps on our system that shows where hosting capacity is available. So leveraging technology and leveraging our internal processes, I think we try to make it as easy as possible and as seamless as possible for our customers.
Perfect. What's Con Edison doing to promote clean energy access for underserved or disadvantaged communities?
So as a company, we are committed to moving everyone along in this clean energy transition, and low-income customers are no exception. One example of how we're doing that is we're working with NYCHA, the New York City Housing Authority, to install solar panels on their rooftops. This does two things. One, the clean power provided is delivered to low-income customers. So the second aspect of this program is that we're training residents of NYCHA housing to prepare for the clean energy transition by giving them valuable skills, not only to install the solar panels there, but prepare them for other clean energy jobs beyond this project. I think it gives them marketable skills that will allow them to compete for valuable clean energy, high-paying jobs in the clean energy transition.
How do you think batteries will play a role in the clean energy transformation?
So for Con Edison, we are a leader and will continue to be a leader in the state in the area of battery storage. I think part of the goal of New York State is that 70% of the power supplied in the state will be coming from renewables by the year 2030. And as we all know, there are days when the sun don't shine and the wind doesn't blow. So how do we capture that energy to be able to use it when we need it, where we need it? Battery's the answer. And battery technology over the last decade has been evolving and continues to evolve year over year. So I think with the evolving technology and the need to capture renewables and store it for when it's needed, I think it's a home run for us, and we want to be there in the state taking a leadership role in that.
That's great. Do you have some examples of specific projects you're working on to achieve that goal?
Sure. Couple of ways we're doing this. We have on the customer solutions side where the customers are putting batteries either in front of the meter or behind the meter. We're leveraging our space in our substations to be able to tie in directly into the distribution grid. So what we call distribution side storage projects. We have one that's in its infancy in Brooklyn that will be dual use. One will be energy storage paired with EV charging, curbside charging. So that's one. But probably the biggest one is we're partnering with 174 Power Global on a project in Astoria, Queens, at an old fossil plant, ironically, to install one of the largest bulk storage sites in the state of New York.
So we've talked about geothermal, we've talked about solar. What about wind? What's your vision for how wind will be incorporated into the clean energy future?
So absolutely, wind is a key part of producing the power that's going to be needed if we're going to supply 100% of clean energy by 2040, right? New York's a large city, lots of power being used. So within the state, there's a couple of opportunities. New York State is currently positioned with 9,000 megawatts of offshore wind coming in. New York State recently announced another 2.5 gigawatt of wind within the state. So how do we get that wind from where it's being produced, offshore or upstate, into New York City to those pockets where it's needed and can be used by our customers. That involves building out infrastructure, and we call that transmission infrastructure. So that's from our if it's out in the ocean, bring it onto land. Once it gets to land, bring it from a substation to our customers. We're positioned to do that, leveraging the expertise we've had, as I said, for over the last 200 years. But beyond the city, we have a group called Con Edison Transmission, who's looking to continue to build within the state of New York some of the largest transmission projects to bring clean energy to the other parts of the state. But also we want to take that beyond New York into other parts of the country.
It sounds like it's a really exciting time to be a Con Edison customer. Are there any final thoughts on the customer experience to look forward to?
So as a customer myself, I think we are committed to providing a smooth transition for our customers through the clean energy future. I think what this means is that certainly an improvement in the customer experience, but most of all, it's a cleaner, healthier environment where they work and live each day. So part of our responsibilities are executing on the strategies to deliver on our clean energy commitment and the goals of New York, the very aggressive goals of New York State. So what does that mean? That means our employees every day are working on all aspects of what it's going to take for us to deliver 100% clean energy to our customers by 2040. That means working on what it takes to connect EVs to the grid, what it takes to be a much more efficient customer, energy efficiency. How do we learn from the data we get about our customers? How does that play a role in the technological transition for demand response, et cetera?
I'd like to thank Raghu for joining us today to talk a bit about EVs. And specifically, I'll start with Con Ed has a commitment to a clean energy future that'll lead the way to clean and reliable energy. Why are they putting such a big emphasis on electric vehicles?
Yeah, Con Ed is very committed to clean energy. As you know, I'm sure you're aware, electric vehicles is a key component of our clean energy commitment. Primarily, if you look at New York City and Westchester County, where we serve, transportation is the second largest source of emissions. And it's the only growing source of emissions in our service area. As a result, we know that we have to make dramatic improvements or dramatic changes in transportation and accelerate the clean transition in transportation in order to achieve the carbon goals. To that end, we've been working very closely with the governments, local as well as the state government. We've been working with all our stakeholders in the environmental community and our customers in order to actually achieve this transformation and make the transportation transition as fast as possible and give our customers the choices to adopt those clean choices, those clean transportation options.
That's fantastic. Can you maybe paint a little bit of a picture around what you're specifically doing in the EV space at Con Ed?
We are very active in the electric vehicle space. I think our customers are starting to make those choices to move to electric vehicles on the passenger side. And I think on the heavier vehicles, that's just down the line. Con Ed now has the second largest electric vehicle charging infrastructure program in the country. We call it the Power Ready program. Our program offers financial incentives to charger developers or people with land that want to put chargers in our service area. We give them financial incentives to both do the infrastructure work on the utility side. A lot of that's invisible under the ground in New York City, for example. And we also give financial incentives to do the upgrades necessary on the customer side. As a result, we've just had some really good successes even in the 1 year that this program has been operational. In addition to that, we provide options for EV drivers, again, both passenger vehicles as well as the larger fleet owners, for example, to receive incentives from us so they charge during off-peak hours. And we call this the Smart Charge New York program. Again, this has been a great success for us. 1 in 5 EV passenger car owners participate in this program, and it engages them and makes car ownership or transition to EV ownership a little more affordable, and people feel good about doing something positive for the environment and for the grid. Lastly, I'll just say we also have a series of demonstration projects that we are working on in the e-mobility space or the electric vehicle space. Some examples include working with the White Plains School District in the northern part of our service area, where we've been one of the first in the country to test vehicle-to-grid technology and vehicle grid integration. And we were also doing curbside chargers with New York City, which we can talk more about.
When it comes to your work in the EV space, how does data play a role?
Data is extremely critical, and data for us is very critical also because we are in an early stage of EV adoption in our service area and an early stage of offering EV programs to our customers. As a result, we've been engaging in a lot of customer research and market research. I just mentioned in our Smart Charge program, we have nearly a fifth of our customers participating in Smart Charge New York to charge their cars off-peak. So we have been actually collecting information, looking at propensity of which customers choose to participate, looking at barriers based on this data information. So in effect, I'd say we'd use data both to understand our customers, to build our program application pipeline. So we're building more EV chargers. And then we also see data as playing a very important role in the operations of the programs that we offer, so that the customer experience becomes better and better, and that's what they could expect from the company.
So it's fantastic what Con Edison is doing for your customers, but I'm curious, what is Con Edison doing internally to support EVs?
Internally as well, we are taking a lot of action to not only demonstrate our commitment by offering programs to customers, but demonstrating by example. And for that, we've recently announced the first partnership to develop an electric bucket truck, which we're very excited about, called the Posse Plus, which we hope will come into service in the next couple of years. And we also have an active plan to replace our retiring vehicles, passenger vehicles, and even some of the heavier ones with electric vehicles going forward.
With all your experience, what are some of the things you think utilities need to be participating in to encourage owners of traditional vehicles to transition to electric vehicles?
Yeah, this is a really important question. New York, the penetration of electric vehicles today is not very high. However, in a bit of good news, last year, the number of electric vehicles sold represents a third of all electric vehicles in our service area. So it's growing, and it's growing exponentially. And we need to really do a number of things to actually help this transition. The biggest issue that our customers face when trying to make this choice is really the availability of chargers and charging infrastructure. A goal of our state is also to have widespread and visible charging infrastructure to alleviate what we call range anxiety. And this is the anxiety that you bought an electric vehicle and you're not able to charge it anywhere. It's a particularly important issue for Con Edison's customers because more than half of our customers live in apartment buildings and do not have access to chargers right in the building that they live. And so they usually park either on the street or park in a parking garage. And we are very committed to helping these customers make that transition as quickly as possible. And the customers themselves are seeing both an environmental as well as an economic rationale to do this transition. So how are we helping? I think I mentioned a little bit about the Power Ready program, where we're building thousands of chargers. We could talk a little more about that. But we're also doing a demonstration project with the New York City Department of Transportation and our partner Flow, where we're bringing 100 chargers to the curbsides of New York City. This is over all 5 boroughs. And really gives an opportunity for our customers to actually park on the street and be able to charge their cars. And this, I think, is going to be, at least once the demonstration is shown to be successful, a game changer for New York, considering our population. Another example of what our customers would really come to expect, given our demographic and where our customers live, is really access to large charging hubs. We just had one that was built as part of the Power Ready program a few months ago in Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn. 25 fast chargers in a building that was used for an industrial purpose before. And this is phenomenal because it's really right in the location where there's underserved communities. There is the New York City Housing Authority houses all around it. There's a major hospital serving that community. And we know that many of our ride share company drivers actually live in that area. Just to add another data point, since we talked about data last time, roughly half the rides either start or end, when I say rides, rideshare rides, in these disadvantaged communities. And having a facility like the EV charging hub in Bed-Stuy really makes a very big difference for them to be able to charge their cars. And the fact that it's open to the public really makes a difference to the whole community around it, because now they know they could go somewhere and get a fast charge.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the focus on that disadvantaged community and just the community centricity. Can you explain a little bit more about what that hub, that charging hub looks like, and how Con Edison was involved?
Yeah, absolutely. When you have a charging hub of this magnitude, so 25 fast chargers, the power needs are very significant. And really, when you think about the grid, you just cannot put that kind of power like everywhere in the system. So really, the Power Ready program was instrumental and helpful in working with the team that built the hub, in order to make sure that the location had or adequate power capability to support it. And really, they participated in getting some incentives from us to build a charger. And it was built in record time. So it was built in about 7 months, and now is the largest charging hub in the Americas, so North and South America.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the community importance of that charging hub. Can you talk a little bit about how all the chargers throughout your territory will be placed and the emphasis on the locations of those chargers?
Speaking of the larger Power Ready program, really we are more in our programs are more geared towards offering incentives, with people deciding where they would locate the chargers. However, we could influence that decision. And the way we're influencing that decision is if they are located in a disadvantaged community, we give a higher level of incentives. So the market can vote with their feet, but our programs are designed in a way to drive the market in certain directions. And that way we cover the majority of our territory and really bring those benefits and not leave anybody behind.
It sounds like this is the first of many to come. Can you expand on what the future holds for Con Edison?
We think there will be a lot more of the super hubs in Con Edison, a lot more of the chargers. Ultimately, I just will go back to the key barrier our customers are experiencing, which is the range anxiety. And really, we see chargers as being available ubiquitously everywhere. To that end, our Power Ready program is a $300 million plus program, and this is including our sister utility Orange and Rockland to the north of us. And we're looking to build over 20,000 slow and fast chargers. And we think this is going to be a part of our future. We think more renewables is going to be a part of our future.
Thanks for joining us today, Vicki. I want to start off by asking, why is energy efficiency so important?
Yeah, so there's a saying in the industry that your cheapest energy and also the cleanest energy is what you don't use. So, and that's what energy efficiency is all about, right? We offer that to customers where they be as efficient as possible. And it's an important measure to fight climate change. It is cost-effective, it is cheap, and it is clean.
How do you get customers excited about energy efficiency programs?
Yeah, so we offer a series of incentives to customers to help them adopt energy efficiency. They save money, they contribute to the environment, reduce their carbon footprint. And in many cases, what we offer makes their environment much more comfortable.
How many customers are involved in these programs?
Oh, so over the last decade, we touched about 1.3 million customers, saved about 11 million metric ton of carbon. I think we have offered customer about $700 million in rebates.
How do energy efficiency savings impact the grid? Does it reduce the burden on energy systems?
Absolutely. Around the clock, it helps the grid. And we pride ourselves, given that we're in New York City, we're the financial capital of the world, we pride ourselves in our reliability. And everything we do, including energy efficiency, help to take the stress off the grid. And as a result, makes us more resilient, makes us cleaner, and makes our system more reliable.
Is there a way that your customers are able to participate even more at times of high demand?
Yes, so energy efficiency targets and helps customers save energy around the clock. And we do also offer demand response programs, which we ask customers to participate during the peak time of the grid. In our case, it's during the summer. We are a summer peaking utility. And so during that time, we offer customers, for residential customers, we offer them rebate on their smart thermostats. And then when we need them to curtail energy, we can control that to dial back their use. On the commercial side, we offer a number of programs. There's a program that we call for customers to curtail their usage 21 hours ahead of time or 2 hours ahead of time. It's based on customers' own comfort level. And for both customers, it's a win-win. For the commercial customers, for every 100 kW, they get paid for about $18,000.
Wow.
That they curtail. And they could curtail by turning off lights, turning off elevators, and equipment not being used, are not being used in high demand, or they could turn on their other generators to supplement the use and therefore take the load off the grid.
Do those high demand or demand reduction programs also include your gas customers?
So we didn't have a gas demand response program until a couple of years ago. As we think about how to transition away from fossil fuel and manage the gas demand more efficiently, we started to experiment piloting gas demand response programs, where we offer customers to curtail their use during the winter peaking time and to curtail your use over a 24-hour period. For customers who participate in our gas demand response program, we offer them about $4,500 for every 100 therm that they save over a 24-hour period.
So electrification is a pretty big topic. Do you have any programs that encourage consumers to switch from gas to electric?
Yes, electrification is an important topic. It is an important measure as we think about transitioning away from fossil fuel. Con Edison has many programs. We offer our customers rebates for everything that from geothermal heat pump to air source heat pump to mini splits. We also are offering a $1,000 rebate for customers who are willing to install a heat pump water heater.
So some customers may be concerned with the high cost or the detailed process of upgrades. Do you have any strategies for helping them feel more comfortable with that change?
You're right. It is not easy to undertake an electrification project. What we have done here at Con Edison is put together a small team of experts. And it's everyone from business development professionals to technical advisors, and we work directly with customers. We also work directly with contractors to help guide our customers step by step and analyzing the economics, discuss the incentives, look at technical feasibilities, and help them plan and help them manage projects like this. What we hope to accomplish by doing that is that we all learn together, and eventually we will be able to come up with more standardized playbooks that we could replicate.
That's great. It sounds like you're helping customers in a really hands-on way. Are there other programs where you're really reaching out and helping customers directly?
We have programs that offer every customer, from residential customers living in 1 to 4 family homes to customers who live in multifamily buildings, small business customers such as grocery stores, corner grocery stores, to large commercial customers that you could see, that's part of New York City's skyline. We have innovative designs that make it easy and simple for customers to undertake energy efficiency upgrades.
This has been great to learn a lot more about all the energy efficiency programs you have currently. Where do you see energy efficiency going in the future?
Yeah, so energy efficiency has an important, crucial role to play in fighting climate change. We are going to grow our energy efficiency. Our current plan is we'll be tripling our energy efficiency by the end of this decade. And we plan to invest more than $1.5 billion in providing customers rebates and offerings to help them become more energy efficient. I think energy efficiency is also moving into the more challenging areas, such as what we talked about. That includes electrification. Mm-hmm. We have to look at deeper energy efficiency. It will not just be about lighting. It will be about building envelopes. It will be about, complete gut renovation, deep retrofits. And we're hoping to help customers become net zero and, get into the realm of passive house.
I'd like to thank Allisyn for joining us today. We're going to start off by talking a little bit about what you're doing with data analytics at Con Edison, where it stands today, and what lies ahead for the future.
So our analytics journey began about 5 years ago. We formalized a group called our Analytics Center of Excellence, which I run. It's also known as ACE. And the foundation of that program was really based on AMI, our smart meter deployment, and AMI analytics. We've really evolved over the past couple of years to focus on 4 key pillars. The first being data governance, ensuring we had data standards throughout the enterprise. We also focused on technology expansion of our enterprise data and analytics platform known as EDAP, and really that's just the foundational investments from a technology perspective that we've put into the data and analytics platform. We've also focused on not only technology advancements, but data sources, the amount of data that we have in the platform. And then we've also focused on change management to ensure that our customers have the appropriate training and are able to upskill, right, to become more familiar with data and analytics, as well as self-service, right? So our ACE is here to support, but in the end, our customers are the ones that are closest to the business problems they want to solve. And so as we've kind of expanded the platform and expanded the data sources, we now have not only use cases around AMI operations, but we also have use cases around the next generation customer experience. We have use cases around distributed generation, as well as energy efficiency, and all kinds of other programs that really help to move the needle and kind of move us towards that clean energy vision.
How can data analytics help to accelerate the clean energy future? And specifically, when thinking about distributed energy resources, what role do they play?
Sure. So we have quite a few foundational investments, technology investments, that are really fueled by analytics going on right now. So when we look at DERs, we have seen significant growth. whether it's solar or distributed energy resources. And specifically in that space, we have a pilot underway to deploy a distributed energy resource management system known as DERMS. And DERMS is basically an application that has a couple of key components. The first being a customer portal to really centralize and aggregate data for our customers. It also facilitates the registration process or the application process. And then lastly, from an operational perspective, it really helps us to identify load flows and system impact. So again, we have a pilot going on for that right now, and then in the next couple of years, we'll be looking to deploy an enterprise-wide type platform. We also are looking at expanding our DER forecasting tool capability to understand impact on demand. We also have a huge effort to modernize our geographical information system, our GIS systems. These are just our mapping and asset tracking systems, but really a key foundational component for data and analytics. That's kind of we move forward. So again, a lot of key initiatives to help us move the needle, and analytics will be key to kind of how we really move forward with the clean energy vision and understanding where things like electric vehicle charging stations will go, or where a DER can properly install their equipment. So a lot of these systems and a lot of these foundational investments have key use cases and analytics that we're currently working on. Another key tool that we have is our hosting capacity maps, and they basically provide our third-party developers with information on where to actually install DG. So just another tool that, again, we're trying to work with our customers on to move forward that clean energy vision. So all of these initiatives really help us to modernize the grid and move initiatives forward with distributed energy resources, really to help them understand market opportunities as well as compensation for those market opportunities. So again, just a lot of new initiatives that really help us to move the needle from a clean energy vision perspective.
How do analytics and AI enable your customers to partake in this clean energy transition?
So I spoke briefly about our smart meter deployment. To elaborate on that initiative, we are about 60% through with the smart meter deployment. It's a $1.4 billion project. And it's really been key for us to engage in a new way and interact in a new way with our customers. So through the AMI data, we're able to identify usage patterns for our customers, as well as identify ways that they can reduce energy consumption and potentially reduce costs. So again, just a great new way for us to interact and engage with our customer base. In addition to AMI operations, we also have a lot of use cases around the customer experience and how we personalize experiences for our customers, as well as trying to identify specific programs in specific neighborhoods to aid in energy reduction and, again, cost savings as well. So a large focus on the customer, and we recognize that as we evolve in this clean energy vision, things like electric vehicle charging stations and where we place DERs are also another key component. So we're developing an enterprise data sharing platform that we will be able to provide specific data for third-party developers and customers to be able to identify where we could install these DERs. And again, just another way to share data in a more efficient, standard way across many of the New York State utilities. So as we look to the modernization of the grid and the future of the clean energy vision, it's really important that all of these different analytics tools, whether it's energy efficiency or DERs, really help to move the needle and enable us to kind of engage better with our customers. So the future of the grid will really provide our customers with more opportunities and choices, diverse resource mix, as well as personalization.
So you mentioned artificial intelligence. I'm curious where AI is used today and where you think it's going to be in the future.
Yeah, so from an AI perspective, we've really been focusing on foundational investments, and AI is farther along the maturity curve. But one of the cool things that we're currently planning for right now is something called a digital twin. And that's basically a simulation of all our tools and systems out in the cloud that enables us to really be able to make decisions quicker, identify the impacts of all these DERs on the grid. Right now, everything pretty much requires some type of analysis. So with these simulations and with the help of machine learning and AI, we can learn to predict and really make those decisions in a much quicker fashion and more efficiently to really meet the needs of our customers and streamline the process.
Could you give a future use case that you would use this for?
Yeah, so a future use case would be any type of connection for a DER, right? Whether it's solar, whether it's battery storage, we could more quickly see the impact and association of where they should be located on the network.
So this all sounds really cool, but one thing that comes to my mind is cybersecurity or the vulnerability to cyber attacks. Can you share a bit about how AI could help Con Edison prevent any cybersecurity attacks or prevent against them?
Sure. So obviously cybersecurity is top of mind, whether in IT or the enterprise. It's a major focus for the entire company. Whether we're deploying a new technology like a digital twin or analytics, or we're just reinforcing our existing networks and infrastructure and applications, we really deploy a layered defense or a layered approach to cybersecurity. So making sure we have multiple defenses against different types of cyber attacks. From an analytics perspective, we use many tools on a daily basis to help us identify anomalies in the network or key issues with systems, or even something as basic as the loss of sensitive data. So analytics and various tools are part of our everyday operation to ensure the safety of our systems and our networks.
When you think about the work you're doing and what's to come, what are you most excited about over the next 5 years?
I'm very fortunate that I really love my job, and I am at the forefront of seeing all types of technology initiatives in the company and in the industry. And I really think it's an exceptional time to be part of this transformation, and that's really what it is. And I get to make substantial transformative change as part of my everyday job, and that's very exciting to me. So I think, again, as we're looking at different technologies to support that clean energy vision, it's a really great time to be in the position I'm in.